your patience. Thank you. Special thanks to Julia for her tech savvy and patience and being my partner in crime with our event each month here on Zoom. It's my privilege and pleasure to partner with the Public Library in Baldwinsville to bring you a card making class every month on Zoom and also live streamed to Facebook. So welcome those of you who are joining us live this evening or who are catching the replay on Facebook or on YouTube. We also have a class, an in-person class each month at the library. So the dates for December, so that I don't forget, are Thursday, December 8th in the evening is our Zoom class. And Friday, December 9th at 10 a.m. at the library, we'll be doing our Let's Kit Together class in person. And I've got some really sweet tag kits and Christmas packaging kits if you're interested in some, not quite last minute, December 9th doesn't count as last minute, but if you're looking for some packaging ideas or tags or cards for the holidays, and I'll also have some all occasion card kits. So if you're ahead of the game and ready to make cards for the new year or cards that you'd like to gift during the holiday season, that would be a great opportunity. Okay, so tonight we have a purple package packed with love for you, and there are 3 different envelopes inside. So if you pull those out, we're going to take a look. One of them actually has 2 let's see, I just don't want to mess up my screen here, but I'm just going to pull it away. Had a couple extra little blocks, but now I can see my hand. One of them is kind of our Thanksgiving package. It has a crumb cake with some beautiful silver embossing on it, and it has 2 card bases inside. Okay, we're going to start with that one. Actually, we're going to do the pop-up card first, and we'll come back to do this one. I have my pop-up things ready to show you. The third project you'll have is it's one of 2 of these cards. It's either a blue envelope with stripes or a blue envelope with polka dots. And so we'll do that one last tonight. That's a simple one to finish up with for the holidays. But I want to begin with the pop-up cards and show you this fun book, Everyone Says I Love You. And the reason I chose this one, it's not Valentine's Day, but we say I love you all year round. But I chose it because it's a pop-up book and it has these really intricate paper engineering designs. And I find this kind of artwork really fascinating. Now, our project tonight is not nearly as involved as these, but you can see the fun, joy and interaction that happens, the engagement that happens with a card that has moving pieces. So I hope you'll enjoy the card that we're making tonight.
I'd like to mention, I'd like to mention that the library has a pop-up book section on the end of the young adult section. So if next time you're in the library, take a look as you walk in from the parking lot. It's ahead on your right, and there's pop-up books with amazing, amazing artwork.
Thanks for sharing that, Julia. That will be fun to look forward to. I find it really engaging and impressive, the paper engineering, all of the different pieces and intricate measurements that have to come into play. So as I was preparing for this class, I've been doing a lot of sorting in my house, specifically in our basement, to try to make room for more stuff, right? To better organize the space that we have. And I found this precious card that was made by my son, Billy, years ago. I think this was about 2nd grade when I would volunteer in his classroom and we would make projects together. So this is a very simple heart pop-up card. And the premise is the same. So I'm going to teach it with you with this box of gifts, pile of gifts, but to show you that the premise is the same for this kind of card. So the one we're going to be making tonight together features this trio of gift boxes. Okay, so it's really fun. It's a fat card. It has a lot of embellishments. It has puffy pieces. So if you put it in the mail, you would need some extra postage. But what fun this would be to include with a gift that you're delivering in person, a plate of cookies or a Christmas cactus. I don't have a green thumb unless there's ink on it, but I do admire plants and gardening so very much. So if you'll gather from your supplies, you'll take out the envelope that has this real red cardstock card base. We're going to begin with this one. And I've pre-scored the pieces for you. In the next couple of days, I'll be sure to post a picture in the comments of our Facebook listing that tells the dimensions if you want to recreate that. I'm not going to do it on camera tonight, but it's a simple way to create these pop-up elements using a trimmer. And you can see there's a series of cut lines from the fold, and then there's a series of scored lines that are connecting some of those lines. So to start with, we're going to burnish those score lines here. You can see it doesn't connect quite all the way. That would make it like a triangle. Instead, you can see the straight line is 1 inch here and it just goes straight down. So we're going to make some folds that are parallel to the main fold of the card. That makes sense. This line here is the fold, and we're going to fold the pieces that I've scored for us. And so you can hopefully see those there's some score lines, quite faint, that connect these folded cut lines.
You're scoring them in slightly different heights. So
yes,
that's the way they're okay. And which way do you fold them?
They're about 1/4 inch apart. There's a 1 inch, 1 1/4, and 1 1/2. And so you're going to fold those lines to make those rectangle shapes. It looks like a cake, right? Or a pile. You could make this easily into a cake card. That would be fun too. Okay, so you want to go ahead now and reverse that fold on those scored lines just to make them happy. They're happy to move in both directions. And if you have questions, please flag me down, go off mute and start talking. Sometimes I get rolling and I can easily miss you, but flag me and I'd love to slow down or reiterate a direction. So once we have those all scored, we're going to open up the card. And now I'm going to reverse those folds. I'm going to pop them into the middle of the card. So the top and the bottom fold are still the regular way I open a book. But these 3 in the center, I'm now reversing so they fold into the card. And then from the outside, it will look like this. You'll know you have it because they're all kind of hiding inside here now.
Okay.
Okay. So that's the part now that we can decorate with some of our designer series paper. And then we will decorate the front of our card. But because we have so many little pieces of paper, I want to start with the ones that are cut specifically to go on the inside. So in your little treasure pile of supplies for this card, there's a whole bunch of little pieces. And let's just take a minute to kind of line them up by size. We have a couple that are solid. We've got a pearl paper, a red, and a green. We'll use those in a few minutes. We have some tiny little bows that I punched for you. Okay. And we have a long strip, that's for the front of the card. Some gems and a candy cane. Your candy cane might be will be different colors, but everybody has a candy cane. And then here's some more of these little present pieces. So I need to those are the ones we need right now. Get that out of the way there. Okay. So 3 of these are going to be on the inside of our card and 2 can be on the outside. And remember, you can use the supplies any way you wish. So you may just want to be inspired by what I'm showing tonight and then use the supplies with your own ideas, and that's perfectly fine. But if you'd like to make your project look like mine, we need to take these 2 red polka dot ones are for the front of the card. And I actually, because the paper has 2 sides, I'm going to have one that will be polka dots and one that will be stripes. But those we can just push aside in the pile right now. We don't need those yet. What we want are these 3 pieces, and they're going to go on the inside of our card. So what we'll do is put some adhesive right onto this piece of paper that we've scored or inside. I'm going to use my my liquid glue, my green lid glue, And a little goes a long way. Just
And
gonna
this is
put a
on
little bit on.
this is on the side where things are poking out towards you.
Exactly.
Got
Yeah.
it.
So
Okay.
here it is standing up. I'm going to put the glue right on there because what we're going to do first is decorate these boxes on the inside. Okay. So the top one, if you want to fold it in half, you can, because it's going to be going onto this folded piece of white. So I took this one with the stripes. It's 2 inches by 1 inch. And that's going to go on the top here, and it will cover that top present. You can just kind of set it on there and then press it. And it should be pretty close to exact. When I try my best to cut with precision, sometimes there'll be a little bit of variation and that's okay. It's handmade with love, right? Just take your time as you're working and you're gluing. The next one has candy canes. So it's green and white on one side and then candy canes on the other.
Okay.
So I like for the candy canes to show, I'm going to fold it in half again. Open it back up and you'll see that's going to fit in the second gift spot. We'll do this pop-up card first because it's the one that's a little bit fussy tonight, but I hope you'll enjoy. I know each month we've been having fun with a series of paper engineering, doing something with pop-up or interactive pieces. And then the third gift on the bottom here is the green with white polka dot piece. We'll put that down at the bottom. Now this white paper is quite thick. It's a thick cardstock. It's almost like watercolor paper. And so it's adding quite a bit of weight to the card, but I like that it's strong and supportive for these pop-ups. Now we have our presents. Now we do have to be careful when we finish tonight. We don't want to push it closed until it has the chance to fully dry. Otherwise it can dry closed and stuck closed. So now we have our gifts on there. Okay. It's all right if there's a little bit of puckering here. That's very normal because of the way the paper is, let's see, it's trying to match on that fold, but just like when you open a book, there's that little bit of give that happens where the paper is folded, where those layers are at the seam. Now, if we want to do any stamping, it's a good idea to do that before we assemble the full card. So I'm going to take my garden green ink and I'm going to use a stamp set called Framed and Festive. And this is a special set only available through January 4th. And it has some fun holiday greetings. So on my original one, my sample says fa la la on the outside, and then on the inside it says 'tis the season to be jolly. So you might be singing along, deck the halls with boughs of holly, fa la 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 la, 'tis the season to be jolly, fa la 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 la. So if you don't, obviously you can use whatever images you have, and Julia was careful to include some Christmas ones in your kits to borrow this month. So you can use those, or you can write your own greeting. You can write your favorite song lyrics, holiday carol lyrics. But for this next sample, let's put the one that says Noel on the outside. And then how about may this season be filled with peace and joy? Just so there's a little variation from my two samples. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp onto my card base. It will be easier to do it now than when it's all assembled with the red piece of cardstock too.
Are those from the kit you'll be using tomorrow?
Actually, I won't be meeting with everybody tomorrow because we did it last week.
Yeah.
So in December, I'll bring this stamp set. But I have some really fun tag ones, tag kits and little packaging. I gifted to people last week, actually, these little snowmen or trees or gift packaging little favors, and those are one of the kit choices for next month. So because of the library schedule, we met last Friday instead of tomorrow. But this is a stamp set that I'm really enjoying because I think I've shared with you before. I often like images that have mixed fonts, like this bold, this block capital lettering, and then this more whimsical font. I think it's fun when that's very trendy right now to combine different fonts. All right, so before we put the white card inside the red card, let's go ahead and decorate the front of the red card base. And if you need more time, you can flag me down, or remember this will be a recording, so you'll be able to rewind, replay, zoom forward, and all of those good things. But on the front, you'll see you've got some design choices. You can use the candy cane side, like I did on my first sample. Get it in the camera here. Or you can flip it over and have the candy cane stripes. So just to make it different, I'm going to flip it over so that you'll have two examples you could follow. And I'm going to put that right along the fold line, right along the edge here. And this super pretty pearl paper, just a little strip will give you a nice sparkle. It has the sparkle side and then just a white matte side. So you can decide. I don't know why you wouldn't want the sparkle, but you get to choose. My son Billy does not like glitter, but this paper he's okay with because it doesn't flake off. But any kind of glittery paper is a no-no in our household. So,
has a weird texture, so yeah.
Yeah, sensory stuff, right? It's
Yep.
And it makes a big mess. I like glitter personally, but I really like this paper because it's the effect of shimmer and glimmer, but it's not messy. All right, so there's that.
Can you open the
Now-
other card for a second? I need to see the color on the bottom one. Okay, thank you.
Yep. Okay, so next we're going to make this element here. And there's the white paper to glue onto the green. We'll go ahead and do that. And then we can put these gift boxes together, okay? So again, if you want to mix and match the designs, you can. These are both red and white polka dot on one side and stripe on the other. So I just did one of each to have that variety. And you'll notice I put them a little bit diagonal, so they're kind of like dancing almost on the page. But if you want to line them up, you can to make them more straight. I like that they're kind of at an angle. And that took off the pressure of trying to make them straight too. That's a good trick.
Definitely.
So now we have a card with 3 gifts on the inside and this piece for the front of our card, right? Let me just make a little more room there. So you'll see on my sample, I created these little ribbon just by cutting thin strips of the cardstock. And those are included in your kit, just little pieces of the garden green, the real red, and the pearlized paper, so that with little snips or with a paper trimmer, you can cut some little ribbon strips, just maybe less than 1/4 inch, I'd say is my measuring. It's almost just an 1/8. And they'll be a little long. You have to kind of use your judgment on trimming them so that they fit appropriately. And if you're using a liquid glue, remember dot, 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 not a lot. You just need a little to get that secured. And I'll take some of my green. It's not quite long enough. I'm going to make cut a full strip of ribbon, and then I can kind of just cut it to this length that I need it to be. A little bit of glue. So you could use real ribbon, of course, if you wanted on these cards. That would be fun to decorate the boxes with the texture of real ribbon. Once you have your ribbon in place, you can add these little bows. Now, I chose to match, so the green is on the green and the red is on the red, just like if it were one piece of ribbon and I was wrapping it up and then tying it in a bow. So again, I'm going to put a little bit of glue there and secure it. So this card has a lot of little fussy pieces that I think just adds to the fun, the embellishment. It's all in the details, right? You may know that packaging, lots of times your budget won't allow you to buy all the gifts for all the neighbors and friends that you'd like, but you might be able to gift them something small. And when it's wrapped in a festive way, it just elevates that gift, and it's something made by you with love. So I always enjoy those simple touches of special tags or bags you create. So even just some nice cookies that you bake, or a candle, or a piece of jewelry, or candy, something like that can make a special gift to let someone know that you care about them at the holiday time. So do you see now how I've put the strip of cardstock and the punched out bow, and then added these beautiful gems?
Wow, those are pretty gems.
Aren't they lovely? I'm glad you like them too. So for our cover, I'm going to use dimensionals just to add a little height to this. You can use whatever adhesive you have. You know that I enjoy the dimensionals because they do give a lift, and they sort of create a shadow. They make it a very homemade looking card. Although if you do look at cards made, when I go to the post office is when I look at cards that other people have made, the companies have made. They like the trend now, the Hallmarks and all the American Greetings, they like to make cards that have puffy stuff too. But to me, it makes it a very special homemade card. I'm going to add the little bit of another greeting here, the Noel, to the front. So you could leave this front without any greeting if you wanted to, but this corner spot here on the card, it's a good spot for a smaller greeting. So I'm going to put the Noel here. There. So once we have, go ahead.
I'm thinking I might put the ribbon on the long, tall one before I put down the other, because it might cover over it.
It could cover, yep, depending on how you angle them. So yes, it might be smart. And you could even, assemble that all and then put the whole package assembled onto here.
Because I'm having trouble when I get it, figuring out exactly where to put it on the paper there.
Okay, yes, so that strip of red on top of the present, you're right, Julia, because it depending on the angle of how you've placed them, it can overlap.
Yeah.
All right, so for the inside boxes, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to take little pieces of the paper. And if you like the pearl paper, you can do the pearl on all of them if you want, but I chose to use the pearl on the green at the bottom. So I'm going to make 2 strips. And the ones on the inside, I just made 3 bows for you. So what I did was I alternated the bow. So it was on the left, then the right, then the left. So when it closes and then opens, there's a lot of sparkle that's kind of around the card. So again, we want to make sure when we're gluing things that we're not gluing them closed, that we're, for example, I want to make sure this bow at the bottom doesn't get stuck to the candy cane piece above it, right? You want to make sure the glue is just on that green part so that it won't be constricted.
Right.
Okay. So we'll go ahead and do our little red strips for the candy cane piece. This would be a special card to give to someone. It's a little more of a one of a kind, although certainly if you're patient, you could make a dozen of these for lots of special people in your life, but it may be one you just decide, oh, I love all the extra special details of this, and I have just the person who will appreciate it in mind. Sometimes you think, oh, my grandma Bryson, she's in heaven now, but she always appreciated the little detail things. So this would be a good one to send to somebody who's going to appreciate all that, the little bits that are going into it. Both my grandmothers loved attention to detail for things. They both, one was very creative in the garden, and the other was very creative in the kitchen. I think about them often, but especially at holiday time, I think is when we bring to mind our relatives because of special memories shared with them, right?
Because that's when we spent time with them.
That's right. So this year at our house, we're so grateful. My family will be with us for Thanksgiving. My niece Claire is coming. My brother and sister-in-law and Claire, they live near Boston, and they'll be with us along with my parents. And we make things pretty simple. We have the last several years, we've just done a turkey breast, not the full bird. How about all of you? Are you the turkey one in charge of turkey at your house?
I think we've done it both ways.
Mm-hmm. So once we have our packages decorated,
Yeah,
we're going to.
Yeah, this year we're actually going to a restaurant that.
Oh, that's marvelous.
That specifically does a Thanksgiving dinner, so we can have people from different places come together.
I think that's marvelous, Julia. Then the focus really can be on the gathering and the conversations and catching up, and not on the dishes. And
Yep.
Very good. So once we have our boxes decorated, we're ready to put the white card inside the red card. Again, we want to be careful that we don't put any glue in this area here. We only want glue around the outside of the card. It's okay to put a little bit here, but you don't want it to be anywhere close to those folds. So I'm going to make a line all the way around. And remember, this paper is quite thick, which means there will be, it's hard to make it lay exactly flat, I guess is what I'm trying to say. You'll notice the white paper is cut smaller than the red. That was intentional. So there would be that red border all the way around the card. What I like to do is I push down on one half of the card, and then I can close the card, and that will position where the other half is to be pushed down. I'm not sure if that was well worded here, but basically you want to keep that red border all around your card. And as best you can, you want the seams to be closely tight here. There may be a little bit of a gap, that's okay. But then you have a really fun, engaging card. It's kind of a surprise when they open. They have these lovely gifts.
Neat.
Yeah. So this could be a wedding cake. You could do the same kind of idea to make a cake, to make on any number of things popping up, some flower bouquets. We'll have to play around with this design to give you some more ideas, but I hope that that's fun for you to see a simple way to create a pop-up. Now for your envelope, let's see, I cut out my candy cane. I cut it close to the design. I left just a little bit of white around the outside of the candy cane colors. And I added that to the front of my envelope. Cut all the way around. Let's see if I have an envelope. Here it is. Okay. So you can add that to your your envelope to the front if you like. You could also put it on the inside of your card. It would look nice in here too, especially if you didn't really want to write a whole lot, but you just wanted it to have some more color and decoration. The candy cane pulls together the theme of the candy cane wrapping paper, so that's a good idea. And the other way we'll decorate the envelope is to add this piece of designer series paper to the flap. And the best way to do this, remember, is to put your adhesive on the flap. Let me make sure I'm in the middle of the camera here. I'm going to adhere some adhesive to the flap. And then I'll put my designer series paper right up to that fold. And then I can just give it a haircut here, trim it right around the flap of the envelope. I love how that's a really simple way to kind of give a clue about what the card is inside, right? They're going to receive this and they'll think, ooh, there's something cheerful inside, something jolly with this happy candy cane. And on this card, I do like having my candy cane on the inside. Some of the candy canes are facing to the left and some to the right. So you can decide how you want to use yours, either on your envelope or inside your card. I'm going to go ahead and add that inside here. There. So we have some fun ones. Okay, our next projects won't be quite as involved, but again, I hope you enjoy, and you can give feedback to me and to Julia about the kinds of projects, if it's fun to have those sort of extra step engineering cards, which help us stretch our brains a little bit with math and with engineering. So if anybody else wants to share about their turkey while we get ready for our next card, I'd love to hear what your Thanksgiving plans are or how you prepare your meal. We have shortcuts like the green beans at Wegmans that are already washed and they're in the bag ready. That's a great shortcut for my family. We have a joke about the jellied cranberry sauce in a can. You have to have the one in the can, but then my sister-in-law makes really delicious cranberry sauce from scratch. So she brings that, but we still also, for old time's sake, have to have the jellied can slid out of the can onto the plate, right?
Apparently I'm the only one in my family that likes the one in the can.
They probably won't have that at the restaurant, but maybe you can have it another time at your house.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah. It's good on turkey sandwiches all year round, actually. My grandpa Bryson always had the jellied cranberry sauce in the summer too.
That's true.
Squash is the other thing we sometimes get already cut and ready for us from Wegmans, so I just have to boil it. That's a nice time saver. And we like cornbread. We usually bake cornbread, but then also buy just wheat roll or yeast rolls to have, or the crescent rolls.
My stepmother's mother's recipe is the one we always use for when we're doing our Thanksgiving at home. We make those rolls.
Oh, nice.
And
yeah, there's really nothing like the homemade rolls. They're warm when they come out, and oh,
yep,
it's very good. So the next little packet we'll play with tonight is the one with this larger crumb cake envelope with the silver embossing. And there are supplies in here for 2 cards. Again, you can mix and match the pieces the way you'd like, but I loved that I could, just with these simple things, come up with 2 different cards that were nice for the season as a kind of gratitude card. This one says, for a special person on a special day, and on the inside, just a little reminder that you are loved. So it definitely looks like fall because of the colors and the leaves here, but it doesn't have to be just for Thanksgiving or just for a birthday. It's just thinking of somebody on a special day. And then this one, thank you with all my heart. I love the simplicity of this card. And you'll see we've got some more gems there, some of the little gold sequins, and the texture with the ribbon, I think really elevates these cards. So let's take out your treasure envelope here. We'll empty those things out and kind of divide things up. Now, there are two pieces of this neutral cardstock. One you'll see I put inside the rust colored card because this is quite dark, and to write on it, it's nicer to have I find to have the lighter color for writing. On the mustard card, I didn't put this inside, but you can. You have two pieces, so feel free to do that. I just didn't put it on the inside yet. Set those aside, and then I'm going to make the supplies into two piles, okay? So you can see how I divided them up. Again, you may come up with your own ways to mix and match the supplies. I love variations, so please feel free to share those with us. And there are two of these little craft branches. Aren't they lovely? And you'll notice on this card, I actually flipped it over so that it could show up a little bit better. I wanted it to be more of a contrast. So one side is the white and one is the crumb cake. And we'll have our gems for both. And then these little labels, I used both for the rust card. Depending on how you want to do your words, you don't need to use both. You could save them for different things. You could switch it up and have the little one on the outside and the big one on the inside. But I'm going to make it the way I made it on the sample, so you'll have that example to follow. Okay, so let's start with the rust one. And this cardstock I did pre-score for you, so you'll see there's a line there for you to fold and crease. The mustard is a little bit lighter weight paper, and I didn't score it ahead for you. I find it just depends on how thick the paper is, how heavy it is, and if it's been cut with the grain or against the grain. Just like fabric has a weave and a waft, paper also has that woven texture to it. And so there's ways that the paper's more comfortable folding rather than being forced. You'll notice here, one of my cards is a landscape, one is a portrait. You could just as easily change it up and make them the other way. So you have a lot of design choices that you can make with this project. I'm going to start by adding this pretty base to the rust card. It has kind of a little bit of a lattice pattern to it. I was intrigued by this piece, and I thought about how it maybe could be like a pocket to put a card or something in, a gift card. I ultimately decided just to let it be a layer, but when it's fun to, again, think of how you might use the card. And if this were to be one you would use as a gift card holder, that would be a way you could have a pocket. Now, I did leave a little strip here just to add some contrast with that rust color. I didn't want to cover it all up. Okay. And next we'll add this banner that matches the rust color. Some of these items were part of a paper pumpkin kit a few years ago, these beautiful leaf rounds and the banners. And it's fun when I find things in my stash. If I have 22 of them, then it's enough for me to do it for our Zoom class. So I do look forward to I keep piles in my studio where I think, oh, this will be perfect to combine with something else for a card for the library Zoom. I look forward to keep you guys in my heart all the time thinking about that.
That's nice.
Mm-hmm. So here's this round. It looks like a wreath. I think it's just lovely. And remember, I said that I'm going to put my crumb cake upside down so that the white shows. And I think that provides a nice contrast. You can decide which way you like it, because it is kind of golden. Actually, I probably shouldn't have put the glue on there yet, but that's okay, because I haven't yet stamped my greeting piece. Typically, it's better to do any stamping first and then gluing after, because that way you can layer things the way they go. And just like when we found that Julia commented on the ribbon being, it might get not straight. If it's better if we first kind of laid everything out and then glue it instead of gluing as we go. But sometimes I get a little ahead of myself. So for this one, I'm going to use the greeting for a special person on a special day. And this is a stamp set that also has that versatile, varied font, the block letters and the script that's kind of whimsical. I really like that. So I'll position that one. I can kind of tuck it under, even though I started to glue down this leaf piece, I can kind of tuck this underneath. There we are. And then my favorite part on this card is the pretty ribbon textures. So I have a piece of, this has a special name, seam binding. It's a yellow seam binding, and it's meant to be really wrinkly and frayed. That's kind of intentional. And then I hope in yours you also had a piece of linen thread. Let me see if mine is hiding in the envelope, or hopefully in yours, you don't have to dig too deep to find that. It's a little piece of the linen thread. It looks like this. And both of these pieces we're going to cut in half because we can use it on both of our card designs tonight.
Yes, in mine, it's inside the brown envelope with all of those pieces together.
Okay, good. I hope that was the case. I think my envelope may have been missing it, but sometimes the 22nd kit, because I take 21 to be with Julia, and the 22nd kit stays at my house. So sometimes that doesn't have everything just the same. But let me show you my trick to creating this little tassel-like ribbon element. What I do is fold the seam binding in half. It doesn't have to be exact. Remember, this is meant to be wrinkly and vintage looking. And then I'll take one of my strings, I cut them in half. I'm going to take one and I'm going to tie a bow around this. Just like I'm tying my shoe, I'm going to tie the knot and then the bow. Now, if your fingers aren't wanting to do the bow, you can just make a knot and let it just have the tails of the knot. That would be fine too. But I'm going to try to get my fingers to work to do the little bow like this so that it has 2 loops and 2 tails here. Okay.
My bows always go sideways.
Yeah, I know. And there's different tips and tricks about that. It's like, depending on whether you have the left over right or the right over left. And
Okay.
I'll see right now what I'm doing is for this one, I have my left, I'm going to go left over right, and I'll pull that tightly. And then I'm going to start my loop with the right,
Okay.
first loop. So my left loop is wrapping around from the bottom.
Okay.
And we'll see if that pulls straight. But even though I tie bows day and night, it's more an art than a science. So there's going to be the variations.
Okay. Uh-huh.
So we'll take, I'm going to use a little dimensional, one of my mini dimensionals to secure this. You could use other glue, just want to have time for it to dry, of course. And we'll put that there. I just love that bit of texture makes this card really kind of a soft, to me, it just feels very warm and soft. I think the colors are certainly warm colors, and also the texture. But we will add a little bit of bling, because notice the difference between the two, just that little bit of a sparkle. Again, I think it's the contrast of the sparkle with the softness of the ribbon. It makes it especially nice. So we're going to add 3 like that to move our eye around for a special person on a special day. And then for this next one, And I don't mean to rush, but I want to be sure we have time to show all the cards. So I'm going to move to this next step, but I'll keep these in the screen here. I hope you can still see
Mhm.
if you want it, if you need time to finish this one. And you saw that on the inside, what I did was put the smaller banner, a greeting on this, on top of the white. You could always stamp directly onto the white. I just, again, love that this is building a texture. Okay. So for the mustard card, I did not pre-score it for you. So when you fold it in half, you'll want to crease it with a bone folder or with a spoon or with your thumb to make that have a neat crease. And this one is so simple. We're just going to add this lovely falling leaves banner. I'm leaving just a hair at the top of the mustard. You could line it right up if you like. I like just a little hair of it showing. Okay, and then for the greeting, I'm going to choose the stamp that says, "Thank you with all my heart." Again, I think it's a time of gratitude for us as we enter Thanksgiving time and Christmas time, holidays. And so a thank you card is always a great idea. Thank you with all my heart. So this we can pop up a little bit to add some depth to the card. This would also be fun if you have an image, if you have leaf images or pumpkin or a turkey, any kind of fall iconic images would be fun to put on this circle. It doesn't have to be the greeting. You could have an image that you color on that circle too.
Mhm.
And then just put your words on the inside. Most of my cards have a greeting. They're a thank you or a happy birthday. There's a design in mind, but blank cards are really useful. Cards with just engaging artwork on them and textures. And then inside you can write for whatever the need is, whatever the occasion is.
Yeah, you could put stickers on things as well as stamps.
Yes, definitely. Yep. Or cut out images from magazines. There's so many different ways to add color and textures. This time I'm going to glue on the white so that the crumb cake color shows.
Oh.
I like that. It's a subtle contrast, but there's a little contrast with the mustard. And then I'll take my second little bow here, vintage bow, and I'm going to add that there as well. Okay, so see that one of these things is not like the other, right? We're going to add those little bit of sparkle, and it just, I think, really elevates the design.
Yep.
Because of the contrast. It's like when we have wood and metal together or fabric and metal together. I think it's that's a design that's appealing to us, or to me as a human. I think most people like that kind of contrast. Mm-hmm. Okay, so these are our gratitude cards, our Thanksgiving cards.
Nice.
Remember, you have these white pieces, so you can add them to the inside of your card with more artwork or with your greeting. It's just a little easier to write and read when written on a lighter color. But I find this mustard, if you use a nice black pen, it will work just fine too.
Nice.
Great.
Yep.
Okay, well, we're going to finish up our final project. You have just one of either the stripe or the starburst and polka dots. So we're going to put these together. Put that out of the way for a second. And what I love about this card kit is that it's vibrant colors, but they're not dependent on a certain season. To me, they just look like birthday or happy, positive colors. Now, today, though, I'm actually going to use some Christmas greetings on them because it's fun sometimes to have non-traditional colors used with holiday greetings. So instead of the traditional red and green, like we used for our present card tonight, we've got some bright rainbow cheerful colors. And this could be fun for people who are celebrating Christmas in the Southern Hemisphere, right? If they're in Australia or New Zealand, they don't have snow. They're coming in to their summertime. Or it could be just someone that you want to have some holiday cheer that likes maybe more non-traditional things.
Or their favorite color.
Or their favorite color, exactly. Yes.
My
here's
Candace's
some
favorite
shiny-
color is aqua, so.
Who's that, Julia?
My Candace, my
Oh,
stuff.
Marv. Uh-huh, very good. Oh, then this will be a great one because that beautiful color in the envelope.
Yeah.
Okay, so this one, let's see here. Here it is. We're going to do some layering on this, and we have that gold piece first. If you have this rainbow stripe one, and then there's some twine. Both of the cards have twine. So what I'm going to do is, before I adhere this vellum banner onto the gold, I'm going to wrap it a few times and tie it with this twine. Now, the twine is probably generous. It might be longer than we need, but I've wrapped it. Let me do it again to show you. I'm going to wrap it 1, 2, 3 times, and then I'm going to tie a bow. This is Baker's twine, and I love it. It's this granny apple green and white combo. Baker's twine is, I think, a fun element for adding to cards. It's lightweight. It's not too fat or thick, so it usually doesn't require extra postage. And you can create a thicker element of it by wrapping multiple times, so you can get different looks. Now, I didn't show you what the finished card looks like for this one, but it's going to be something like this. So basically, the vellum, normally we'd have to be careful where we put the adhesive because it will show through. But in this case, we're going to cover that banner with these other pieces. Does this make sense?
Mhm.
And so I can go ahead and put adhesive behind the vellum here because it's not going to show. Otherwise, I'd have to be careful. You always want to consider where adhesive will go, what things will be layered on top of vellum so that when you put your adhesive, it doesn't show. There we are. So I said I was going to make them Christmas greetings just for fun. You could, of course, make them any kind of greetings that you like. And we're going to use the 'tis the season to be jolly again, because I think this one, let's see if I can find where I left. Did I put it away in here? Yes. I just think it's jolly, right? Jolly is a great word and it's happy. So we're going to put that one onto here. 'Tis the season to be jolly. And I'm going to use the granny apple green, which matches that twine and the green stripe. Now I'm using, this is a cling mount stamp, which means it's made with red rubber and it has a layer of foam inside. So I do not need to have this mat underneath because the foam is the cushion right in the stamp. So I'm going to just put it on directly onto the paper. There we are. When I was using the photopolymer stamps earlier, like this one, see, this doesn't have any foam on it. And that's why I'm careful when I'm stamping to make sure I have foam underneath me to cushion the clear photopolymer stamps. But when I'm using the red rubber stamps, I don't need to have that cushion underneath.
And you can still
Okay.
take the red rubber ones off and put a different one on the clear.
Yes, yep, these are, they're
Mhm.
not, Stampin' Up! No longer carries the wood mounted stamps.
Uh-huh.
Which I still love and I'll sometimes still bring to our library events, but now we have what's called cling. So it peels off and it has a sticky cling adhesive here
Okay.
that then I store it in my case
Uh-huh.
like that.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, and so it's an advantage to this is it's still the high quality red rubber, but it takes up much less space than the heavy wood block sets do, which is great. Let me get my cord out of the way there. Okay, I think it's still in front of my face. I'm sorry. Okay, so now we've got 'Tis the Season to Be Jolly, and we can go ahead. This is a really quick card to assemble. I'm going to glue this onto the blue foily piece, and then pop it up with dimensionals. Now, again, this is a fun one to make for a birthday, a hi, hello friend card, a thinking of you card. But at this time of year, why not have that colorful combination for a cheerful card of the season?
Yay.
Yay. So this one's fun. It has that gold foil. So there's a bit of sparkle, and that's ready. Let's go ahead and do the other one, which is very similar construction. We have a little word bubble for this one, which is fun. And I thought on this one, we could do the Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. So I'm going to peel off. I'll show you what I'm doing. I'm going to peel off from my case, my stamp, and I'll put it on the block.
Nice.
I don't need the foam underneath. It's not going to be a problem if I use it, but it's this is designed to be the cushion under the photopolymer. And the concern is that if you have something too soft under you, then the red rubber, see how there's ink around the edges here?
Yeah.
Because I was kind of heavy with my inking. If it's too soft underneath, then it could pick up all that extra. So I'm going to that's why I moved my mat away. Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. Isn't that a fun green color? It's called Granny Apple Green.
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for all the greens. I love it. So this one also has some twine and some vellum. And so we're going to assemble it kind of like this. You'll see here, like this. Okay. So for this twine, there's actually a little hole in the vellum in this one, like a tag. We're going to pop that out. And then we can take and thread this through, kind of like we're weaving or stitching a little bit. We're going to wrap it several times through the hole, keeping a tail out to tie. Let's see if I can neaten that up a little bit. There we are. So it's kind of like sewing. We had fun last week at it was a busy day at the public library on Friday. There was the book sale and the Stitchery Club that meets on the first and last Friday of the month, and our card making Let's Kit Together class. And so, boy, we had fun with the stitchers. They were making all kinds of wonderful projects with textiles, sewing a quilt project, a pillow project, making a beautiful crocheted stockings. Wasn't called crochet though. It was like a finger knitting.
Finger
really
weaving.
fun.
Yeah.
Finger weaving. It was really impressive. I had such a good time meeting new friends. So I'm going to, once I've wrapped that several times, I'm going to tie a bow. And again, I cut the twine generously for you. So it might have tails that are too long. You can decide if you want to trim those. I think this is a little long, so we'll cut those off. Okay. And that will go down first. Again, we don't have to worry this time about the adhesive showing, because we're going to cover up a good portion of that vellum with this pretty star paper. Take my adhesive. There we are. Vellum is a great product that can kind of mute a background. So in this case, it's used just as a layer to add texture and interest. Sometimes we use it on top of a pattern to mute the pattern if it's got a lot of vibrancy to it. Let's go ahead and add this one. My friend Elaine really loves working with vellum and does some beautiful messy projects with inks to change the colors of the vellum. It looks using alcohol inks, and it's a lot of fun. So sometime maybe I can demonstrate another messy technique with the with vellum.
Is messy technique a technical term?
Definitely. Messy Missy projects are lots of fun. Messy Missy. And I do miss that. We were able to do that pre-pandemic. We were able to make more messy projects together. It's hard for me to provide the supplies for you to make a really messy project, but I could always still demonstrate for you so you could see how we use inks in creative, messy ways.
Yay.
So I hope that's been fun to see sort of a out of the box holiday card with these pretty colors. I'll bring those back on camera to show you along with our gratitude projects and our happy ba la 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 pop-up card here. Let me switch that and I'll show you this one has the candy cane inside.
Wow, that's a lot of cards.
Yeah. It is. We had a great night. I hope you had fun too. Thanks everybody for taking part tonight. Remember that in December, we have our 2 events, December 8th and 9th. The 8th is on Zoom and Facebook. You can pick up your kit that first week in December. Be sure to reserve one so that you'll have the supplies to stamp along with us. And then the Let's Kit Together class on December 9th. We'd love to have you join us for some holiday fun.
Yep, I'm just gonna quickly show off. I got this part done.
Beautiful.
And I got part of the inside done.
Excellent. Isn't it fun? It's just kind of magical. It's a surprise when someone opens it up.
Yeah, exactly. When I get the bows on there, it'll look really nice. Christine, did you want to share
Great.
anything?
You're muted right now, Christine. Can you unmute so we could hear you?
Mute. Okay.
Great.
I been making those dimensional cards, and my sister-in-law was in a bad car accident years ago and has brain trauma, and I've been sending them to her and she's loved them.
Oh, I'm so glad.
I sent her
Very
the
good. We'll keep doing.
Yeah, I sent her the one from it was the like the box.
Yeah.
And then I sent her the Thanksgiving one, and I had a laugh because the Halloween one, she sent me a thank you card thanking me for the spider.
Oh, isn't that great?
So she's really, because I said to my husband, I says, we don't have kids or young children, but she's been really enjoying them.
That's
great.
delightful to hear.
Yeah.
Very good.
Oh,
well, we'll keep doing these.
One.
Yes, this one is the card that we did last month. The design that we learned last month, but it's using the stamp set that I used again tonight, and it's really engaging. And the more you make them, the more you want to make more. I think they're really they're really fun. Yeah, lots of fun.
She'll be getting my Christmas card. So
very good.
Ready for her.
Oh, good. Well, that's inspiring to me and motivating to me to keep picking some fun ones that have that engagement and that the little bit of a puzzle
and the texture and the multi-dimensionality.
Because her motor skills are so, but she loves opening up, and to her it's fun.
Oh, that's very good to hear. Thanks for sharing that, Christine.
You're welcome.
That makes me really happy.
You.
Yeah, my pleasure. Well, thank you, Julia, so much for your time and energy, and so good to be together. We hope if you have any questions, you'll put them in the Facebook comments so that Julia and I monitor that so that we can answer questions that you have. And I also love to see the things that you make with the kit supplies. So don't hesitate to post a photo in that comments of the Facebook section too. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Yep. Good night.
Good night, everyone.